Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the first 11 grounded football Tottenham Hotspur. Another week of ups and downs, back and forths. The life of a Tottenham fan, Mark. How you would want it?
I nearly jumped off the pavement the other day. That's how bad it was. Listen, Saturday night, I don't think my kids had heard me scream so loud. It was just euphoric, wasn't it? It was just takes you to another level and you just think, wow, we're back. Wow, this has to be. And then from Sunday, Twitter, all of us are going, yeah, it's going to be typical Spurs. We'll lose at Burnley. I think it was 19. And then what do? We go to Burnley and you know what happens. And then all of a sudden the big thing, all of a sudden that press conference and everybody. Thursday morning I was waiting, I was up at 5:45 and I was thinking, God, is it happened? Have I gone to sleep overnight? And then 10 o'clock I was looking at my phone at work. I would look at 11 o'clock. I was waiting for Sky News to come, breaking, nothing. And then, I saw his conference today and all's well that ends well, apparently. So, I'm sure we'll get into it. But, life of a Tottenham fan, it's called a yo-yo.
Yeah, definitely. And welcome back to Jacob off his night shifts. Back in the team. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm all good, Ryan. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good, thank you. You happy to be back?
Yeah, big time. Yeah, the amount of stuff that's gone on with Tottenham, and I've had to just pretty much talk to myself on a night shift. You know what I mean? Because, like Mark said, it's ups and downs with Tottenham. But if you're our age and older and you don't realise that supporting Tottenham is a yo-yo, then you probably don't support Tottenham.
Yeah, exactly. And welcome back to Mr. Darren T. How are you, mate? How's everything?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me on once again. This is much needed because this is going to be like therapy, talking to like-minded Spurs fans. Like as Mark said, ups and downs all over the gaff, man. Flipping out, it's been a roller coaster. That's all I can say.
Yeah, that is. It is Tottenham. That's how it is. But before we get into it, obviously, we'll definitely have Kirst back soon. I've been talking to Kirst this week. She's going through personal things at the minute, so she will be back. And once Alan stopped moaning and whining about whatever illness he's got, he will eventually be back on as well. But Mark, there is only one place to start. We might as well start positive, haven't we? We might as well start before it brings us all back down. But do you believe in bogey teams? Because Man City just cannot beat us, can they, at the minute?
Yeah, and I'm sure if we go back to our podcast, I think it was just you and I, wasn't it? And I actually turned around and said, it wouldn't surprise me if Tottenham go and beat them. 2 losses and everything, and it's the kind of thing that we go and do, don't we? It wouldn't be the first time Tottenham do it. I thought we played the perfect game. The word masterclass has been used so many times. I think Harry Kane looked his best again. I think one of his best games that I've seen in a Spurs shirt. He was everywhere, but not just him. I think that's what we expect from our players, don't as fans. That's what we want to see. Everybody lift the levels, and it was so nice to see. And I just think Man City try to bowl us over, and Eric Dyer playing next to Romero, he solids it up, doesn't he? We look so much more defensive. I'm very pleased. It was a surprise to me because I wasn't expecting anything, although my heart was saying, come on. And what a great result for us. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Jacob, Mark's just spoke about him, Harry Kane. Do you think that's his best performance this season?
I'd go as far as saying it's probably one of the, I don't know if I can't think of him performing in a better game ever. Like, I know there was games where, Leicester, he scored like 4 goals and stuff like that, but this was one where I proper thought to myself, like, where's that been? And considering the bad form he's been on, it was a joy to watch. But then I kind of predicted he was going to do this because I was talking to a friend of mine and I said, like, Harry Kane's going to have a good game because this is his audition, isn't he? Probably somewhere in the back of his mind kind of holds hope that he can still get a big move. And, we all know that last season, preferably when it's going Man City. So he'd be a bit stupid to turn up in a game like this and, not perform well. It begs the question, did he perform that well for Spurs, or was it for himself? Because, we all know that come the end of the season, there's going to be questions around his status at Spurs, especially if Conte's there or not. But as far as I'm concerned, as long as he's doing it in a shirt, that was for me, that was his best performance, because it felt like as an attacker, he did everything. He dropped off, he created, he was even crossing at some point. It was great to watch, and for him to score in the last minute like that. Mark was saying about his kids not hearing him celebrate like that. My kids ain't seen me like that, man. Like, I went to speak to my next door neighbours the next day, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you obviously support Tottenham," because we could hear all the noise and that. So yeah, I went pretty mad. Me and my son were smacking each other and that, but yeah, it was a good performance, man. Like I said, it was a good performance. You just wish that this, for me, I feel Harry Kane could do that on a consistent basis, but he's only human. But the problem is we haven't got players around him that can do it consistently, which they proved this week.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Darren, I said on Monday on Coys.com that's probably the first time this season we've seen actual Son and Kane like they were last season. How do you think Son played against City?
Son played extremely well, as they normally seem to against City. It was good to see them back again. However, there's no point doing it against City and then against Burnley. It's just totally, it's totally different. That's the only thing, right? But on a higher point, it's he played really well. And the thing is, you know what it is, right? With City, Pep Guardiola doesn't learn, right? Because every time we play them, they will have all the possession, but we always catch them on the counter. And he refuses to try and change his tactics against Tottenham. So it's, Son is perfect for that counter attack. He's always performed well because he's perfect on that counter attack against City. And they got caught out, more than once. And the fact that we got Kulusevski on the other side, like that added the extra bit of quality on the other side of the field. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy that he came back. That there's shades of old Son and Kane there, but it needs to be consistent. That's what I would say.
Yeah, massively. I mean, Mark, are you the same as Darren with that? Obviously, against City, they were breathtaking, both of them. Obviously, like Darren says, Son, he will just sit on the halfway line against City because he knows one pass and he's in. Like, he obviously for the first goal, setting up Kulusevski, but where is the consistency there?
See, the thing is, I think Kane and Son are such a great counter-attacking kind of forward line because they're so quick. Kane's so quick thinking. Son is just so quick with his feet, and he knows where to put. Kane just knows where to put the ball. The problem is, are they very effective? And we've seen it time and time again. Are the two of them that effective against low blocking teams that put 6 in the box, 7 at the box? And it's proven that it's not. And you look at Burnley. I think Wolves, when Son came back as well, they were ineffective. They just weren't good enough. And I agree. I think, that season with Mourinho, when they went to Southampton and they got 4 goals, and Sonny got 4 of them, and Kane was just bashing them about, and they were on fire, those two, and somehow. I don't know. I don't think Sonny's been at his best. I really don't. I think this is one of the worst seasons that I've kind of seen him play. Kane is starting to get back into it. Listen, and I'm not going to blame the two of them just for that on Wednesday. There was more than just the two of them that didn't perform on Wednesday. But we do it. I sat there the other day and I was talking to somebody, and, we've lost. I know we've lost 4 games out of 5, but I look back and we've lost 3 games out of 4. I would have rather have lost, and I don't like losing, I'm like Conte, but I would have rather have lost to Man City and beaten Southampton, Wolves, and Burnley. Not just because of the points, not just because we would have got 9 points and we've only got 3, but we all sit here and we go, we should be beating those 3 teams. We shouldn't at the moment be beating Man City, if I'm honest. Yeah. When you look at the players, when you look at their manager, and Conte will tell you the same. I don't think he gave us a chance. But we should be beating the other 3. And that's where I see where, but so we're in a high when we beat Man City, but we can't go to Burnley and win. It's just, and that's what really throws me. But yeah, I think Son was great on Saturday, but then again, poor the other day. And I think he's a lot less effective. Maybe the lads will disagree, but I think he's a lot less effective against teams that play the low block. I don't think because you don't need to be quick against these guys because there's already 6-7 people in the box. You know, they're not on the halfway line. Like you see how high Man City, so they give you them Liverpool. That's why our 2 best games this season have been Man City and Liverpool. And to be fair, if you ask anybody out there, the 2 best games of the Premier League this season have been both with Tottenham, and one was Liverpool and one was Man City from a neutral point of view. And that's how I see it.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely bang on. I mean, Jacob, you got any argument with Mark? Obviously, Alan's not here. We haven't had much arguing over the past few weeks. So have you got any argument for him, Jacob?
No, I agree with him. And I think to add to what he's saying is that's the reason why I've been saying it for years, man. It's like everybody was crying about Eriksen, you know, saying that he's not that great a player because he can't beat the first man on a corner. But literally, he's, for me, along with Moussa Dembele, who's one of our most influential midfielders, let alone players that we've had as long as I've been a Spurs player anyway. So we've never managed to replace that player, because if Harry Kane and Son aren't affecting a low block, the reason that's happening is because they're both dropping into positions to create when they're supposed to be the ones scoring the goals. Now, if you've got someone like an Eriksen in there, you know, people like that, that's why Man City, don't matter what you do, if you press Man City or do a low block, they've got De Bruyne that if you're allowing him to just pick passes left, right and centre, eventually he'll pick a pass that a Jesus, a Sterling, a Mahrez will score off. And then what you're going to do with a low block if you're 1-0 down to Man City, if that was your original plan. So with Tottenham, the difference is we haven't got the quality of Man City. But then we haven't even got a number 10 that can do that. So we're relying on Harry Kane to create those passes and get on the end of them. He's not Superman. Do you know what I mean? If Harry Kane if there's a player that could get the same sort of quality passing that Harry Kane's got, and Harry Kane was getting on the end of his type of crosses against Burnley, there's no way we would have lost that game, because there was times where we were all over him, but Harry Kane was putting in crosses for Son. You know what I mean? Harry Kane should be in the box with Son and another player, and we have a midfielder that's creating that for him. So that's the reason why we struggle against a low block, and that's what Wolves do. The difference is Wolves had a low block and they actually got stuff at the other end, and Southampton didn't even need to do a low block, because again, if you press our midfielders, it doesn't matter whether you press them or do a low block against them, they're not creating. They're not creative. They just pass, you know, Højbjerg sideways, Bentancur, you know, sideward-ish. The midfielders that we got rid of in the window, they were all the same. And Dembele was a good player, but he just didn't have it in him. So it's like, I don't know how many players we've bought in midfield to either replace Eriksen or to play in midfield, and none of them have got an assist in them. So that's why Harry Kane last season had all them assists. If he didn't get all them assists, who was doing it last season? Like, we qualified for the Conference Cup, but if he didn't get those assists, we probably would have finished 10th. And then you're looking at it now, because he had a little dip in form and he wasn't assisting, no one else is stepping up to the plate. Son's got a few assists, but again, he's another one that needs to be the end of them assists. Lucas Moura's gone off the boil. So effectively, the reason why we struggle is because we've got 3 forwards that, you know, collectively could probably score, 50, 60 goals between them in the Premier League if they got the service, but they're all dropping into the number 10. They're all taking turns in dropping into the number 10 position to create for themselves. It's just stupid.
Yeah. Darren, do you think the most important for us in the summer is a new striker that can get up there with Harry Kane and allow Kane to drop deep, or do you go for a playmaker and just tell Harry Kane, look, stay up there, let him get the ball to you, and you put the ball in back of the net?
Do you know what? I think they're equally as important as one another. I mean, we've been lacking severely in that department, and now at right wing back. You know, to not replace Ericsson is criminal. You know, most teams will have a like for like swap. They'll sell one, replace one. Not Tottenham. No. We'll sell one and then try and work it out and hope for the best. Do you know what I mean? And this is the problem. Like, we haven't signed a striker since Llorente, I think. And that's what, 2017, 2018, I think. I mean, that's criminal. And if you think about the strikers that have gone begging, look at Weghorst for Burnley right now. Look at him, yeah? All right? Look at Patson Daka. Look at Odson Edward, right? You're telling me we couldn't have picked them up at a cut price, and considering they seem quite happy to be on the bench from time to time. Do you know what I mean? Why couldn't we do that? Like, personally, I would have given Vinicius Jr. Carlos Vinicius another season if that was the case. Considering we didn't sign anybody, I would have given him another season on loan. He didn't really get enough of a chance at Spurs. But then once he went, we just didn't replace him. But I think I can't differentiate between, I can't say what's more important, whether it's a striker or a playmaker. They're both as important as one another. Because as Jacob was saying that, you know, Kane and Son and Mora and such likes have to drop so deep because to actually provide when they're not supposed to be doing that. We're just fortunate that Harry Kane has adapted to that number 10 role as well as he did, or else we would have been screwed last season. So, you know, Coutinho went begging the other day. You know, I mean, Dele Alli was off the boil. He's supposed to be a number 10. He's off the boil. Kulusevski's supposed to be able to play number 10, but he's on the wing. His deliveries are good, by the way. I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just criminal from our scouting, from our recruitment department that we haven't signed. Or will I say, is it recruitment department, or is it Daniel Levy taking too long to sign off? That's the question I'd throw back.
Well, knowing Daniel Levy, yeah, if the money in football at the minute is crazy. It is really, really. Obviously, some players are extortionate, but we've got a chairman that would like to save a pretty penny on every single signing. So if he feels that, like you say, if Coutinho was going in January, if Conte thought, I'll take him, but I'd rather someone else, you know, Levy is looking at his wages thinking, no, I do not want to pay for these wages. But at the same time as well, you look at Fabio Paratici. I don't know if you're the same, Darren, but you look at him and think his signings one's gone back out on loan to La Liga. Galini weren't even on the bench against Man City as the backup keeper. Brandon Austin was there. Obviously, I'd probably say Christian Romero's the only one that's shy. Obviously, the two new boys you can't judge yet, but it's... Well, obviously, now you're back on, Darren. What's your thoughts on, obviously, that with Steve Itching going? Do you think we'll see a lot more happen in the summer, or do you think it's going to be tough?
Ryan, we have to see a lot more happen in the summer. We have no choice. No choice in the matter, bro. Because if it doesn't happen, Conte walks. You know, and then we go downhill because the Tottenham manager's job will be seen as a poison chalice. So he has to get working. Steve Hitchen leaving, to be honest with you, I'm not bothered about that because the job hasn't been great, really, has it? From him. So I'm fine with that. Paratici, I think with the Galini signings, and the Galini signing wasn't great. Romero has been great, though. Romero's a great signing. That was a great coup for us. I thought Brian Hill was a great coup for us, but then he never played. But now he's tearing it up in Spain. So I just don't know what goes on. I don't know what goes on at our club, but I've liked what I've seen from Kulusevski and Bentancur so far. You know, they got to take time to adapt. But Kulusevski's not pacey, but you know what? The delivery's there. So I'm kind of liking the fact that he's got that delivery there. He's quite clever. He's got a bit of guile to him. And Bentancur adds a little bit extra to the midfield. However, we still need a quality, you know, holding mid and a number 10 and a playmaker in front of him. Then I think I'd be happy. But the summer has to be big. Paratici has no choice whatsoever to make it a big summer, and Levy has no choice but to sign off on what on the players that Paratici bring to him, and we've got to move quickly in the transfer market, or else we're going to get left even further behind. That's what I'd say with regard to that, because it's been shocking. It's been shocking for years, and it can't go on any longer. And Conte has been saying time and time and time again, right, that the board needs to do something about it. And if they don't, I think we're really, really in the mud. We're up the creek without a paddle if we don't have a big summer.
Yeah, Matt, I mean, Mark, obviously, we'll get back to the City game soon, but obviously his comments after the Burnley game about the coaches change at this club, but the players stay the same. I mean, you like Darren's just said, Paratici's got a lot of work to do, and he's got to start from February 1st to get these players in this summer.
Yeah, but listen, I like Conte, don't get me wrong, but you know, I've had 48 hours now to digest what he said. The window's closed, isn't it? You know, it's closed. It's not opening again now till June or July, whenever it opens. I don't get his comments. Now, I've tried to digest it over the last 48 hours because I don't think that was an attack on the board, if I'm honest. I don't think that those comments were attack on the board. I think it was more attack on the kind of players that we have. And hopefully for some of them to reflect. You know, I think he's hoping the Kanes of the world, the Lorries of the world, and maybe the Dyers of the world, you know, on that bus back, or when they're getting changed the next morning with no Conte, no coaching staff, you know, somebody's going to grab it by the scruff of the neck and go, seriously? You know, he's right. We've been through 4 managers, but we're the same. What's the common denominator? The penny, you know, and that's what I think he was calling out, rather, because he knows he's not stupid. He knows he's getting no more players. He's got to work with these people. You know, he's got to work with these till June, whether he likes it or not. You know, I just think it was ill-advised what he did. Number one, I just think it was the wrong way of doing it. And I like him, don't get me wrong. He came across as a petulant little child, if I'm honest, you know, and he's going to win. If I'm honest, looking at Twitter, he has split the fan base. You know, he hasn't, you're not seeing 95% of the fan base sitting there going, well done, Conte. He has literally split the fan base. And some of the way he plays, he's got to take on himself. You know, we've been talking now for weeks. What is our best formation? Our best formation is 3-5-2. And what does he play on Tuesday? 3-4-3. And he keeps on doing it. And he's a manager that normally plays 3-5-2. And that's where he's had his best success. So why is he not playing it? So, listen, I'm not going to have a go at Conte, but I don't think his outburst on Wednesday was, he shouldn't have done that. And that's my opinion, you know. And I think he split the fan base on. You know, he should have, there was other ways he couldn't do it. But I don't think he was attacking Daniel Levy there and the board. I think that was more the players having to drive down, because they would have heard that. And it's a long bus drive. And the next morning, I don't know if you've seen some pictures of Thursday morning's training. Did you see all their faces? Have you seen Sonny's face? And they're like, it was amazing. So do you know what? At the end of the day, the proof is going to be in the pudding tomorrow. 12:30, the proof will be in the pudding. You'll see how these guys run for him or they don't.
Yeah, I mean, I massively agree with you. I mean, Jacob, is it the midfielders he's got as an option that keeps him from playing that? I mean, obviously Bentancur's out now, Skip's out. We've got Winks, Højbjerg, and youth product available. Do you see us going to a 3-5-2 tomorrow or sticking at 3-4-3?
Thing is, though, with 3-4-3, what I would need to say on add to Mark is that he won the league with Chelsea at 3-4-3. He had Costa, Pedro, and Hazard up front. So I think, if I'm honest, that's what I think he prefers to do. But because the squad that we've got is so crap, he has to stick another midfielder in there to keep it at 3-5-2. So I do agree with Mark that our best formation is a 3-5-2, but Conte would prefer to have the three up front because obviously it adds more threat. I just think, if you look at our squad, it don't matter what formation you do. There's players in this squad that just ain't good enough for what Conte wants to do. Like, if you got, I'd say there's about 10 players in the squad that if you put them on the transfer market for 5 million right now and take it, there's no club better than Tottenham that would take them even for 5 million. Do you know what I mean? If you put Harry Winks on the market for 5 million, do a Man City think, oh, actually, that's a bargain? No. You know, you got Davinson Sanchez. If you sold him for 5 million, does he go to a better club than Tottenham? No. These are, you could sell 10 players for 50 million and none of them go to a better club than Spurs. So I don't know. I personally would prefer to have the three up front because our defense is lacking. So you might as well try and approach games where you're going to score more goals than the opposition, because I don't believe our defense is really capable of keeping clean sheets. I think Dyer and Romero are good, but then Ben Davies, even though he's been better than I've looked at him at, he's still not good enough. Do you know what I mean? You've got Reguilon that if he's injured, you've got Ryan Sessegnon, who for me, I don't understand why people think he's a wing back. He's never been a wing back. We bought him from Fulham as a left winger who scored 20 goals. But then all of a sudden we're expecting this guy to defend and assist. When we bought him, he wasn't doing any of that. He was just banging goals. So effectively, that's like us going to buy Mane from Liverpool and playing him at left wing back. You know what I mean? It's pointless. So I just think there's a lot more surgery that needs doing to our squad. But for me, no matter whatever formation he plays, he could play. He's tried them all, hasn't he? He's been here 20 odd games, and he tried that 4-4-2 against Chelsea. He's tried the 4-3-3 against Man City, 3-5-2 against Liverpool. On the odd occasion, this works, but generally it don't work. Not because Conte's tactically inept, because we haven't got players that are consistently good enough to challenge for a top four, better yet challenge for honours. It's just, there's a lot of players there that if they found themselves in the Championship in the next 3 years, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, massively. I mean, Darren, what were your thoughts after his press conference? Obviously, I was going to go back to City, but like you've said, Mark and Jacob, you've all said, as great a win as that was against Man City, it's pointless now because we've gone away to second bottom of the league and lost. So what were your thoughts of the press conference at the end of the game and the assessment talk and everything he was saying?
I felt, I'm kind of with Mark on it because I had time to think about it. I felt that was unnecessary. It was a bit petulant from him. I understand the thing is he's emotional and he wants to win. I just think he needs to convey it. He needs to convey it a little bit differently when it happens, because the emotions start running high, and then we start getting mixed signals, because it's not the first time. He had the thing with Sky Italia that happened to be a misunderstanding. He's had a couple more occasions where you're thinking to yourself, like, flipping out. He's really unhappy. He could go here, like, probably not as prevalent as this week. However, he keeps making these murmurings, so it's only escalating the rumor mill. And he needs to kind of temper it down, just calm it down, just get on with it. Just say, look, I hate losing. And, you know, and we get it. The thing is, I get it because he's a winner. You know, he's a proven winner. And that's why we all loved when he came to the club. We know he hates losing. We see the passion when he wins. So, and we love that. But you see, when he loses, just be a little bit more. You don't even have to be a gracious loser. You don't have to be gracious. You just hate losing.
Yeah.
I don't even care if he didn't shake Sean Dyche's hand and what have you and pushed all the Burnley players in the head. I don't care. Like, but you just need to keep your mouth quiet when it comes to, you know, talking about whether you want to leave or not. Because all he's doing is, like Mark said, splitting the fan base, destabilizing us a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Just get on with it, man. Get on with it. We know you want to win. Wait till the summer and then make all the noise you want if Daniel Levy and them don't give you what you want. That's what I would say. So, yeah. And then I haven't listened to the press conference today. I've saw little things about it on Twitter and saying like he wants to stay and stuff like that. But it's like having a, you know what, you have a girl and she's flipping, I'm not sure. And, oh no, but I do love you, but, I'm not sure. Oh, but I kind of do love you. But yeah, but there's this and it's not you, it's me. Do you know what I mean? Like, stop it, man. Do you know what I mean? Stop it.
Yeah, that's a bang on. That is the best assessment I think I've heard this week of his press conferences.
Yeah, just cool, man. Just cool. We know you love to win. Just convey it differently, man. That's all I'd say. Like I back Conte all the way, but he's not necessarily helping himself with regards to his press conferences and his interviews with the likes of Sky Italia and stuff. So yeah, that's what I'd say about that.
Yeah, I mean, Mark, is it that unnecessary press? Because they will jump on us when they can, but you beat Man City and he describes this squad as probably the best he's had in his career because they're good people over good players. And then he comes out after Burnley and says, I don't like Darren's exactly said, he didn't need to come out and say it how he said it. It was obviously fresh in the moment, but does that just bring, obviously everyone's talking about it anyway. They've been talking about it since Conte come in, about him not being happy with Levy and he wants more funds and Tottenham's not the right club. I mean, do we need that on top of all of this pressure we've got in the actual football?
Look, I think the press, you know, are heavily weighted against Spurs. If you look at some of the main writers for the Daily Mail, the Independent, all these kind of papers, there's not one Spurs fan. I think the only Spurs fan is it Darren? He's the assistant editor at the Daily Mail. I forget his surname. He's on the Sunday thing, Sunday what's name at 10 o'clock. He sits with that Gabby or Vicky Gorson, the one who does that show.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah, I don't know his surname myself.
He's a great journalist, and I like talking to him because he's very calm in his approach. And although he's a Spurs fan, you know, he talks well about everybody. But you've got like the Matt Laws and all these people. They can't stand Spurs. Even when there's a positive story about Spurs,
talks a lot of crap.
They can't stand Spurs. And you know, I think he's a Chelsea fan, so he's just got the hump because Antonio Conte's come to us. I caught a bit of his press conference today, and you know, he's come out and he's talked about how emotional he gets. You know, he wears his heart on his sleeve. He talks about he hates to lose, and you know, maybe he shouldn't do press conferences after a loss because, you know, he's very reactionary. He stipulated today that, you know, he's in the right place. He loves working with Tottenham. You know, he wants to see this project out. By all accounts, him and Levy did speak yesterday, and the chairman's got his back. And he even turned around and said, you know, even though the newspapers and that want to make a problem for him and the chairman, you know, always different stories and all that. So you're never going to win. You know, you hear these things of close sources to the club have said that, they're very upset with his comments. Who said that? Close sources. I can write it. After what he did, I could have written, oh, by the way, people at Tottenham are not going to be happy with that. That's a punt. There's a 50% chance of me being right, and there's a 50% chance of me being wrong. Correct? But I must probably be partially right because, yeah, I'm sure Daniel Levy, if he watched it, would have gone, what's that all about? So I think he is who he is. When you listen to some of the Italians and people from other clubs, that he's been like this for a long time. So he just reminds me of a kind of younger version, and he is a younger version of Mourinho, because Mourinho likes to throw his toys out of the cot. And he's just more relevant now than Mourinho is. But, this just reminds me of how Mourinho was 10 years ago when he was winning everything and he was just as petulant. But he was actually nasty with the media, which I prefer. I'd rather him attack the media than, but will he see out his contract? Yeah, I think he'll be here. I think he'll go into the summer. I know we're talking about, who do we want in the summer? That's going to be the big thing. If we get fourth, I think Daniel Levy spends a lot. If we don't get fourth, does he spend a lot? Because that's Conte's last year. I don't know. Sources that I'm close to tell me nothing.
Are you close to any sources, Mark, or is it just tomato, and barbecue?
Yeah. But listen, they know what they're talking about, and they're tasty.
Well, they're better than Matt Law. I do know that for a fact. But obviously, Jacob's not been here for a while. He's missed all of these Tottenham talks. But Jacob, if me and Mark have spoken about it already, but whether Conte's comments are directed at Levy or it's an indirect attack on Levy, has he got any chance of winning this? Because we've seen so many managers go already after battling Daniel Levy. How do you see that one happening?
No one wins. Whether, you know what I mean? And it's the only people that lose are us fans. You know what I mean? Because it's like Daniel Levy always has these battles where he has battles with coaches, players, contracts, agents, clubs. And in his mind, he probably goes to bed sleeping nice because in his mind, the victories that he wants to win, he wins, because he wants to win battles based on money, whereas everybody else wants to win the battles on the grass. You know what I mean? I couldn't care how much a player's getting paid because effectively, whether I buy a ticket or not, it doesn't really affect anything. You know what I mean? So if Harry Kane gets a new contract tomorrow and it's 500 grand a week, you get a lot of fans that moan about it. You're not paying for it though. You might have your ticket money's going towards it, but it's not. It's a smidgen. So for me, he wins the wrong battles, and I think what Conte's doing, admittedly, when against Burnley, the thing that he said afterwards, I just thought it come across as sulking because I thought to myself, do you come out and say the same thing if we win 1-0? No, you don't. It was only 3 days ago. It was we against Man City. We've done well. We worked hard. We played well. And then as soon as you lost to Burnley, they. So it's like Daniel Levy is just a battle that I think Conte knows that he's got to win that battle, because if you don't win that battle and you become a Poch or you become a Martin Yole or Harry Redknapp, it just gets to the point where your good work becomes untarnished. There's no point in working for Daniel Levy if you don't win the battle. If Harry Redknapp did the same thing as Conte's doing, he might have got himself the sack, but he might have got himself a bit of extra money. Same with Pochettino. For me, they were too nice. They were too nice in their approach. They must have sat there with their loved ones and close players and vented their frustration. But when they come out on the camera, they're like, oh, me and Daniel have got a great relationship. And then when you finish 5th, you're frustrated, whereas Conte ain't going to take that crap. So I'm happy, like I said, with 90% of the conferences that he's done. I just thought after that Burnley game, like Darren alluded to, you just needed to tone it down a bit. Just say, I don't like losing, rather than, going on about players. But at the same time, I agree with Mark, because it gets players. If I was a player on that bus, I'd be thinking, he's talking about me. So then if we go to the Leeds game, you don't want to be that player that, Gary Neville and Graham Souness are talking about, saying, are these the players that Conte's talking about? Harry Kane, Son and Romero aside, they know that if they have a bad performance, them three players, it's not them, is it? Lloris, 3 weeks ago, I was lauding him. Now he's in that little bracket now because he's been making mistakes. He's doing an Aubameyang, isn't he? Like, he's playing his socks off for the contract, gets the contract and flops. So, I don't know. With Daniel Levy, there's no point trying to battle him. I think the only person that needs to battle him is Conte. And, as much as I hate to say it, we need Conte more than Conte needs us.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously, just in the comments, Ravi, we've got Ravi in the comments. I mean, Darren, I'll bring you on to this one before I go to Mark about the actual Burnley game. Spurs need to sell Harry Winks. He's not good enough for the Prem. I mean, do you sell Harry Kane? Is there anyone that Harry Kane? No, you don't sell Harry Kane. None of us sell Harry Kane. Do you sell Harry Winks? Is there anyone that will pay what Levy will want for him? Like you say, he's not old. He's still yet to reach his prime in football terms, but English, he'll want probably between 30 and 40 knowing Daniel Levy. Does he move on?
I don't know who will buy him. Maybe a newly promoted club. See, the thing about Harry Winks is this, yeah? I remember watching him more than one occasion when he was like under 19s, under 23s, right? And he was a baller. Him and Josh Onoma, I know. They were ballers. I remember them playing against Man United, and they were just balling out of control, man. Flipping out. And I just said, I'm looking forward to him getting into the first team. But he's coming to the first team, and he's like, I don't know, he's like a deer caught in headlights. Like, he's just not the same Harry Winks that I was expecting. Because technical ability-wise, I've always been of the belief that Harry Winks is good, but he's just never shown it in the first team. So if that's the case, I don't know if it's a confidence issue. He's following instructions and what have you, but I think there's a lot more to him. But it's not good. He's not going to thrive at Tottenham, not now. He's got to go somewhere else, and he's got to go and thrive there. I do believe he's good enough for the Prem, but just not Tottenham. Mid-table, bottom half team, I think he'll do better, but just not for us. That's what I would say. I'm not as harsh on Harry Winks as other people have been, because if you've got that ability, you've just got that ability. And somewhere in deep down in there, he's got it, but he just needs the right team and the right manager. And I know I'm being quite diplomatic, but it's an unequivocal yes for me. He has to go now because he hasn't shown enough, and he should show more. He needs to show more, because I thought he was going to be a great number 8 for us, and he's just not done it. Just not done it.
No, massively. I mean, the comments coming in, I might block this one guy. He's always here. Latimer's Prime is always here every Friday to mock and just bully us Tottenham fans. Like
Latimer's, he's a different one. Big him up. Big up Latimer's anyway.
Oh, legend. Yeah, complete legend. But obviously, before I go on, we've got the queen of the Tottenham Grounded Football Tottenham show in the comments. I was hoping for 3 points tomorrow, expecting a 1-1. Also, stand with Ukraine. Yes, massive let. I will not get into politics on this show, but it's we've got Latimer's back in as well. Harry Winks, the English Iniesta. Don't say. Why is this guy always got?
I tell you what. Yeah, speaking of not speaking about politics, but you see, when they seize all of Roman Abramovich's assets, including Chelsea, and they've got no money left, we can sell you Harry Winks for $5 million. How's about that? Because that's all you're going to be able to afford soon enough. So,
we see the thing with Chelsea though, is that Abramovich knew this was coming, so he's got sanction insurance. He's got some mad insurance that no matter what, they can't do that. So all that talk about that is not happening.
Damn shame.
We're not big on the Chelsea Chelsea side here, but I mean, Mark, Darren spoke about it earlier, obviously, when we was discussing the number 10 role in the side and the striker. Obviously, Ravi's asked his thoughts on Doherty, but it's a battle between two evils, isn't it? With him and Emerson at right back at the minute.
Yeah, there must be somebody in the under 23s or under 18s we can start bringing through, isn't there? I'm sure there must be. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see who he plays tomorrow. I read somewhere, I think it was yesterday, we bought Emerson Royal as a defender rather than a wing back, correct? Because that's not really what he does. He's not really a wing back. And that's the same. We go back to that old saying with Dele Alli when he was playing for us, because when he was playing for Poch, he was playing just behind Kane. And, when Poch left, nobody played him there. He always played, when he did play, on the left or the right or that. And he never found his form again. So I think Royal will be a better player than Doherty, if I'm honest. I just think Doherty, he's not what we want. I still give Royal a small little chance because it's his first season. He's 22, 21. So he's finding his feet as well. Doherty's been in the Premier League now, 4 or 5 years. He played with Wolves. And he's still making so many mistakes. So I still take him over Doherty. But I just don't think he's your natural wing back. And I think if we're going to play Conte's style, we need to get a better wing back. Whereas Doherty is your normal wing back, isn't he? Because that's what he did at Wolves. But he just can't perform for us. So yeah, I think that's one position we need to be looking at in the summer. And I think that's one position Conte will demand he gets, if I'm honest.
Sorry, can I just interject here?
Yeah,
I am actually running a campaign and it's called Tariq Lamptey to Spurs. I've been running the campaign for a few months now, and I want everybody to join, many people as you can, to join me. The Tariq Lamptey to Spurs campaign. I need donors. I need campaign managers. I need a campaign manager, and I need to go out and talk to the voters. So yeah, that is my campaign right there. Because what he would do for us, man, what you see him doing for Brighton. If we could get like him and Bissouma, which is quite a tall order to be fair, because I don't know if Brighton would sell them both to us, but we'd be cooking with gas. I tell you that for free. But we need a wing back, like him. Like for me, Royal is not the worst defender in the world, and he's trying at the end of the day. But that's just not that wing back role is not his strong suit. It's not what he does. Do you know what I mean? As you're saying, Mark, like it's not what he does. But if you got the blacks of Lamptey or somebody who's of that ilk, right? Like all right, Livramento, for instance, another one, Livramento, right, going forward, marauding forward, and somebody who can put in a good cross as well, a good delivery. We'd be so happy, and I think we really dropped the ball by not signing somebody in the January transfer window.
That's how far. Sorry to interrupt, but that's how far Chelsea are away from us. Like you've just named 2 right backs that we would love to bring in, but Chelsea are just like, yeah, we don't want them.
Throw them away, innit? Yeah, that's a fact.
Throw them away. This is what I'm saying. Yeah. Chelsea, what they're doing is bigger bits than anybody actually realizes. I don't like to bring them up, but you need to. We've got 2 right backs that I don't like any of them. Even if you took the positives from either right back, there's still a crap right back. You know what I mean? It's just shambles, man.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, Lamptey and Livramento chucked away because Reece James was better. So they've got options 3 times in every position. But obviously, we've still got Prime in the comments about complaining about not having a right wing back. Yet you have a natural right wing back there in my Irish brother. Use him. No, listen, Prime, you can take him at Chelsea.
You can take him.
Yeah,
you can have him. You can have him. You know what as well?
We'll do a
I've
swap.
maintained. How's about that? Yeah, Reece James for Doherty.
But
How's about
he's
that?
still on this. He's still on the Kane train to Chelsea. I know he's. I wouldn't say he's desperate. He's not desperate for Kane, but he would absolutely love Harry Kane.
Do you know how long he's been saying this for time, for about a good year. It's not happening, Latimus. It's not happening. Also, one thing I will say is I honestly am of the belief that we should never have sold Walker Peters. I'm not saying he's the truth and he's gonna, he's gonna be the greatest right wing back in the world, but look, he's better than the options that we've got.
Yeah, no, he is. I mean, got one from Ravi about Conte losing it. We have discussed that already. It was down to manager sulking about losing the game. I mean, Jacob, I'll ask you this one, seeing as you've been working nights for a while. The new signings, Kulusevski and Rodrigo Bentancur. We haven't seen a lot of them, but do you think they've settled in well? Do you see promise in both of them?
Yeah, I like Bentancur because it's like in our centre midfield before he turned up, we needed someone with a bit of just someone that wanted to press and wanted to tackle and just get about the pitch because Ollie Skip, to be fair, was doing it. And I personally think that it's mad, but that we're actually missing Ollie Skip quite a lot. Like, I'm looking at centre midfield and I'm thinking, get rid of all of them and put Ollie Skip in with Bentancur. And I'm happy with that because Højbjerg has started to look a little bit shaky. Winks just isn't cut muscle. And like the boys said, I do feel sorry for him because Harry Winks isn't built to play under managers like Mourinho and Conte. Under Poch, when we were pressing and it was the quick 1-2 passing and it was all about the quick football, that's what you get out of Harry Winks. But, the last two managers that we've had, you're never going to get that out of him. So, with Bentancur, I do like him. I think he's going to grow into a fan favourite. And Kulusevski as well, yeah. The Man City game, take Harry Kane out of that performance. He was probably man of the match. His delivery was bang on in that game. So I do like them, but Conte needed another 4 of those players on top of them 2 in order for him to be happy because you don't get rid of 4 players, like you said, and bring in just the 2. So them 2 are going to make a difference. But if them 2 go off form, then we're literally stuck with the dross that we had before. And if you're trying to challenge for top 4, everybody's criticised Arsenal, everybody's criticised West Ham, and we had all these games in hand. But because we haven't got the strength and depth in our squad, all of a sudden we play those games in hand and we're struggling. So I think the 2 signings we brought in are great, but you needed to bring in a couple more to ease the pressure on the board in the summer because you've only brought in 2. So realistically, they need to get rid of about 6 and bring in 6 in the summer, which I don't care what no one says, they're not going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously going on to Leeds now, Mark. Obviously it's a two-part question for all of you, Mark. But obviously I'll start with you. With Alan not being here, you are right next to me tonight. Obviously, when Alan's back, I'll have to demote you back down. But for now, you're all right up here. Is top 4 still up for grabs for us? And do you see many changes for the team for Leeds tomorrow?
Listen, I my heart says, while we still got a chance mathematically, we can go for top 4. But my head tells me no, we finished. We can't do top 4. There's a couple that really look at Arsenal. They got the same amount of games as us, and they're 6 points ahead of us now. And we've got to play them. Yeah, we've got to still play them. But yeah, no, I don't think. I don't think we got a chance with the top 4 now. I think we need to try consolidate, try and go on a little run, try and get top 6 so we can get Europa. Because I do worry that if we don't get in one of the competitions, the amount of money, if we get Champions League, we might get 120 million to spend. If we get Europa League, we might get 80 million. We get the Conference League, we get 50 million. We don't get anything, we get 50 million, or you have to sell before you can buy kind of thing. So that's the worry there. And yeah, I think come the June time, you'll see there'll be other clubs that want to change their managers, and that's where Conte could be tempted. And that's always going to be the worry. So we need to keep him. We need to keep him happy. Make sure that he's very interested, and we need to keep Kane, because we don't keep Conte, we don't keep Kane, and then we're back to square one again. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the next few games up until we get to the international break, and Tuesday is big for us, not just tomorrow. If we can have a little run in the FA Cup as well, that just boosts confidence and everything. We could have a nice run there. So Tuesday is very important as well.
Yeah, no, massive. I mean, Jacob, do you see much changes to the team tomorrow? And obviously, I've just got a quick question from Ravi that I'll throw your way as well, Jacob. Do you think Son will ever leave the club? Obviously, there's big talk about Kane as always, but so both of them, do you think it'll make much changes to the squad tomorrow? And do you ever see Son trying to force a move out?
Changes. I hope that Sessegnon's replaced with Reguilon. I don't get the Sessignon-Reguilon thing, because there's times where Reguilon's been on the bench and I'm like, well, what's going on there? If he's fit enough to be on the bench, then why is he not playing? Then there's times where he'll just be out of the squad and then there's no reason behind it. But, I hope that Reguilon's back tomorrow. I'm not sure what status is on Oli Skip, but I need that guy back replacing Højbjerg and hold him in midfield with Bentancur. So if he's back, Skip. But I think if I remember correctly, Conte said that he's working hard to get back to fit. So I don't think he'll be fit now. He'll be fit for the next game.
Both of them are. Skip and Bentancur.
What's that?
Skip and Bentancur are both injured.
Oh, they're both injured.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's going to be Højbjerg and Winks then. So yeah, that centre midfield is pretty much a given. I hope if the midfield's like that, then you've got to go 3 up front with Kozlowski, Son, and Kane. So there won't be too much change. I think the changes that will be made are the ones that should be, which is Reguilon and then the 2 in centre midfield. But your question on Son, I've said this for quite a long time. Contracts don't mean nothing to me. It's like if you wrap up a player on 3-4 years and he's getting all this money, that's cool. It only boosts the price if you're going to end up selling them. So I think if Conte was to walk and then Kane walks, if you're a Son and you look around and you see the players that you've got around you and there's no Harry Kane to set you up or for you to set up yourself, are you going to stay? I personally, I was shocked that he signed the previous contract with the noises of Kane, and then we had Nuno brought in. When he signed that, I thought they must have offered him a world of money. And then when I found out it was only 150 grand a week, I thought you must really love support, you must really love playing for Tottenham. But you're I don't know, man. For me, I think he's like 27, 28. He's probably good enough to get himself a move. Right? There's Juventus that were knocking on the door. If Son said he wants to leave, I think there's pretty much every team in Europe that would take him, not only for the player that he is, but what he brings from the Asian market. So, personally, I would never write. It's Tottenham. Any player will leave. We've had Berbatov, Modric, Bale. We've had all of that, and recently we haven't really sold our best players, but we've just got rid of players and managers and not supported them, and then ended up in the shit that we're in now.
Yeah, I mean, Darren, obviously, on the Son thing, obviously, we've got Prime who says, speaking of Son, will there be a discussion about Son's mentality? He signed a new deal and doesn't look like he wants to move and win trophies. Do you feel like that about a player like Son, or do you just think he's... You can't really say a boyhood lad because he wouldn't have been a Spurs fan, but do you see his love for Spurs trumping anything like that?
It's a difficult one. By the way, he's 30 in July. I just wanted to throw that out there. He's 30 on the 8th of July. So it could be, I agree with Jacob, if he sees Kane and Conte leave, I think he'll be seriously be considering his position at Tottenham, because he can get one more big move because of his age. He can go and get one more big move and get more than he's getting at Tottenham. Mentality-wise, I think mentality-wise, he's fine, right? The thing is, if you're just happy, it's his job. If he's happy in his job, he's happy in his job, innit? Like, he's happy working with Harry Kane. Harry Kane, like, you know, he loves Harry Kane, evidently, and he loves the club, and he's been at the club for a good amount of time. So that's what I think. But, you know, I just think he will definitely want to move on if this season or this summer transfer window doesn't pan out the way we need it to. We need it to, really. But I don't question his mentality, not at all.
No, I mean, Mark, before we obviously get predictions for the Leeds game and how we think it will go, Rav has asked if we rely on Kane too
Big
much.
time.
I mean, Darren
Big
and
time.
Jacob have spoken about it already
Big
with
time.
him having to drop deep. Do you feel like that's in with the squad? If Kane doesn't perform, do the rest drop in whatever standards they've got?
But that's not just now, to be fair. That's been even in Poch's day. You know, if Kane wasn't there, you know, when he was banging in 25, 30 goals. So this is no, it's the most known secret in football that Tottenham haven't had a proper second striker for years. You know, we talk about it every 6 months when the transfer window comes around. So yeah, we do rely on him. And the problem is when he's not firing like he was earlier on in the season, you know, you see what happens. And yes, Sonny hasn't been to his best. And if I can just, I think if Kane goes, Conte goes, I don't see Sonny going anywhere. He's on a lucrative contract. These guys come from a different culture. They're £150,000 to them. It's like £300,000 a week. You know, I've lived out in Asia. The whole way of life out there is so different. So Sonny just enjoys playing football. He's at a big club. He's playing for Tottenham. And he becomes number one if Kane goes. He becomes the superstar. Because at the moment, we all love Sonny, but we love him for different reasons. Kane is our superstar, isn't he? So I don't think, and like Darren said, you know, Sonny's 30 years old this year. You know, does he get another move? Does he get another big move at 150 grand? A striker at 30 years old? I'd be very, you know, who's going to take him? I think there's other players out there that big clubs like Man City, Man United, Liverpool would take. I don't think Sonny's on their radar, although he is a very good player. But these guys want players that are going to perform 4 games out of 5, not 1 out of 5 or 2 out of 5. And unfortunately, that's what Sonny's doing at the moment. You know, I think it's a confidence thing with Sonny. He's coming back from an injury. Maybe he's not 110% fully fit. He's still working up to it. But I think he's lost his confidence. And you could see that the other night. He was taking a shot with his left foot, and it kind of like just whimpered to the goalkeeper. Last season and the season before, that was top corner, you know, and nobody was saving it. So, yeah, I think we rely heavily on Harry Kane, and, you know, touch wood, because I don't want to jinx it, but usually Harry Kane, you know, he's made of glass. Usually something's gone wrong, and this season we seem to have, you know, but then we've had other injuries like Bentancur, you know, God forbid, you know, and Skippy, you know. Now, only going by what thing he's saying, what Conte's saying, is that he doesn't think Bentancur's a long one, because people were saying 3 weeks. So Bentancur could be ready for Tuesday or for next week. Skippy's the one that worries me, you know, because I remember he came back from Norwich at the end of last season, and he had to have a hernia operation. Because he tore something and he was out, and luckily it was over the summer so he could heal. So this is the one that worries me. There's something wrong with his duct or something in his side, like on his thigh or something, you know. That's the one that worries me. You know, what's he, 21 years old, 21 years old, to be having injuries like this. You know, it's the same as Dyer. You know, Dyer's got a problem with his hip or his thigh or something. And you see the heavy strapping on him. So that's a big worry when you see guys like this. But yeah, Bentancur and Skip out, it's a massive worry for me tomorrow. I could see him playing 5 in the middle with Reggie, Højbjerg, Kulusevski, Winks, and then Doherty or Royale. Because I think at 19 years old, that's where Kulu, he did play central mid. If you have a look at some of the teams, he played central midfield. So you never know, he might play him there.
Yeah, I mean, Jacob, what's your prediction and thoughts on tomorrow's game? Because obviously we know what Leeds are like. They only operate one way. They'll attack and attack. They leave plenty of space in behind. But obviously, you haven't been here for 5 weeks now due to working nights. So Mark has taken the lead on top of the prediction table. So what's your prediction for tomorrow, and how do you think the game will play out?
I had a different prediction before I found out that Skippy and Bentancur weren't playing. I just think that, like we said, Leeds play. They don't change the way they play. They just got battered by Liverpool 6-0. So those players are going to want to, sort of lift their heads up. And I always say it, man, whenever a team needs to lift their head up and pick up form, if they got to play Tottenham, they end up getting a result. It just happens. And the way Leeds play, with their fight and their pressing, is very similar to the way that Southampton plays. Southampton just got a bit more quality with Ward-Prowse, Che Adams, and players like that that can put the ball in the net. But I'll be honest with you, I don't feel confident. It's the fact that it feels Spursy. It's a lunchtime kickoff. Leeds need to bounce back. My prediction's 2-1 Leeds.
Fair enough. That's exactly what I've gone, 2-1 Leeds as well. But Darren, obviously back on the show. How do you think it will go tomorrow? And what's your score prediction?
I'm kind of with you on that. 2-1 Leeds. Our midfield's gonna suck big time, man. Honestly, we get overrun in midfield quite easily. Southampton, Hasenhuttl and Bruno Lage has said pretty much the same thing, didn't they? That our midfield was quite easy to bypass. Even though, I think Bielsa's stinking up the Premiership right now, I think he's got enough to that lead side's got enough to overrun us in midfield. And then you've got Rodrigo, you've got what's his name? Is Rafinha back? Rafinha be back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got them likes of them up front. They're gonna terrorize us, and I think it's gonna be 2-1 Leeds. I think they're gonna outplay us. That high tempo football. The thing is, it doesn't catch out the elite teams, the Liverpools and such likes. But for us, I think he's gonna catch us out. So I think 2-1 Leeds. Unfortunately,
it's going to be a long weekend. Mark, what was your prediction again, bud? How do you see that game playing out?
I'll go 2-0 Spurs, because I think
2-0 Spurs.
It's not they're not going to be defending, and I still think we've got too much for them. I think if Harry Kane, Sonny, Kulu, if Højbjerg turns up, if we've got Dyer, Romero, Lloris if they're all turning up, then it's another Man City opportunity. We'll beat them on the counter attack. They'll want to attack, and then we'll just and that's how we will be. The Leeds onto low blocking team. We don't play well against low blocking teams, but who we do play well against is teams that want to try and press us, take the ball, and then we counter attack, because there's nobody that can stand against us on counter attack. We are phenomenal on counter attack. We get that first goal, Leeds will open up even more, and I say 2-0. But if we really smack them, it could be a 3-4-0. It could be a Liverpool, and that's what happened the other night, because Leeds don't change their mentality. They don't go 1-0 down and then all of a sudden go, oh God, let's defend. They keep on going, because that's the Bielsa way. So, it's all or nothing with Leeds. It's they'll beat you because they outclass you, or they'll lose 6-0. So I'm going to go 2-0 Spurs with, Harry Kane getting a brace.
Oh, very nice. Hopefully, Mark. Or we'll hear from a different WhatsApp Mark tomorrow.
And I'll take the lead and I'll go further ahead in the Premier League.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Darren, you're not prone to this, but this mark you see here is not the mark we see on
Don't
WhatsApp.
listen to them,
Not
Darren.
at
Don't
all.
listen
He
to
is-
them. Don't be fooled by.
It's a different animal on WhatsApp.
No, I'm pleasant on WhatsApp.
Hey, put Darren in the group just for the weekend. I have to put my phone under a cushion or something, man. So I'm like, oh, Mark's going in.
Yeah, I noticed that. I'm talking and nobody comes back to me with anything. It's just me. And then halftime, Ryan will come. Yeah, that was crap.
Yeah. I prefer to do my talking at the end.
Well, gentlemen, thank you again for tonight. I really do appreciate it. We've gone till 11:15. But Mark, do you want to let everyone know where they can find you, all the places in the world?
Nowhere. Just here. This is all I'll come to. I get offered so many platforms and I won't go. Only here. So catch me here every Friday night.
Beautiful. That's what we love to hear. And Jacob, welcome back to the Friday shows. Do you want to let everyone know what you've got planned and where they can find you?
Yeah, it's just the same here now. I'm back off the night shifts, back working at home. So it'll just be here for now, and then hopefully later on in the year, trying to develop my own plans. But bit by bit. But you can guarantee you'll see me every Friday from now on.
Definitely. And Darren, thank you again for jumping on tonight. You're welcome any Friday. You're free. Do you want to let everyone know where they can find you?
Yeah, you can find me on. First of all, once again, thank you all for having me. It's always a pleasure, and I do enjoy being here. You find me on Twitter at Mr. Darren T, Mr. Darren _T. My bad, getting tired. Right. Also, you'll find me quite a few Saturdays now on at 10 to 12 a.m. on DD Footy Factory on Top FM radio show. Sorry, the On Top FM is the channel, is the radio station. At DD Footy Factory is the show. You'll find me on there quite a few Saturdays now, and tomorrow you'll find me on there as well. So big them up, and yeah, those are the places you'll find me the most.
Yeah, massively. Obviously, everyone that said what they've had to say, we appreciate it for all the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. You'll see me next on Monday, coys.com. Myself, Carl, Patrick, and Tanya, hopefully discussing a Tottenham victory at the weekend. But Mark, Jacob, I'll see you next Friday. Speak to you soon. And Darren, like I say, whenever you're free, you'll be definitely jumping on because we love you on this show. Massive legend, obviously, and he always upsetting the Arsenal fans as well. That's what we want on this show. That's what we like on this show. But gentlemen, I'll let you go now. It's late. All got to go to bed. But thanks again, and I'll see you next Friday.